March 6, 1944, 23,000 feet above Germany. Staff Sergeant Michael Donovan sat in the freezing tail section of a B-17 called Hell's Fury, watching 12 German fighters arrange themselves for the kill. Every manual said wait. Every instructor said conserve. Every veteran said pray. Donovan opened fire at 2,000 yards. 4 minutes later, 12 Messerschmitts were falling, 0 American bombers were damaged, and the United States Army Air Forces had a problem. One of their gunners had just violated every defensive doctrine they'd written, and it worked. This is the story of the tail gunner who decided dying slowly wasn't a strategy, who turned the deadliest position in the sky into a weapon of terror, who proved that sometimes the best defense is making your enemy too terrified to attack. The kid from Sergeant Michael Donovan learned about preemptive violence on the streets of South Boston, not in any military classroom. His father hauled cargo on the docks, his mother cleaned houses in Beacon Hill, his brother Tommy fought in the Golden Glove circuit. Mike absorbed one lesson early. The guy who swings first usually walks home. The guy who waits gets carried. By 16, he'd been in 28 fights, lost 3. All 3 times he'd hesitated. When Pearl Harbor burned, Donovan was 17. He lied about his age, walked into the Army Air Force's recruitment office, and demanded gunnery school. The recruiter wanted to put him on ground crew. Donovan insisted, "Kid, you know what the casualty rate is for tail gunners? Don't care. I want the gun. Why? Because dead guys don't shoot back." Gunnery school nearly washed him out, not for poor marksmanship, for aggression. His instructors kept writing the same evaluation. Candidate exposes himself unnecessarily, takes unacceptable risks, fires at targets before they enter optimal range, demonstrates reckless disregard for ammunition conservation. Donovan's response entered school legend. "You're training me to sit in a glass cage while someone tries to blow me apart. There's nothing about that position that isn't reckless." He graduated 7th in his class, not for accuracy, for speed. Donovan could identify, acquire, and engage targets faster than anyone else. His technique was simple. He didn't wait for fighters to enter his kill zone. He started tracking them the moment they appeared on the horizon. Most gunners waited for certainty. Donovan understood that certainty meant the enemy was already attacking you. Volunteering for the death seat, February 1944. Donovan arrived at RAF Framlingham, assigned to the 390th Bomb Group. His B-17, Hell's Fury, already had a reputation. 4 missions flown, 3 catastrophic fighter engagements. The previous tail gunner, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, survived but requested immediate transfer. The crew chief asked Morrison why. "That position's got a curse on it. I felt it. Next guy who sits there dies screaming." Donovan volunteered within the hour. Captain James Whitmore, Hell's Fury's pilot, pulled him aside. "You know the numbers, Sergeant? 38% casualty rate for tail gunners." "Yeah, I know. That means you've got better odds of not making it home than making it home." "Means I've got 62% odds of surviving. I'll take them." "Why this aircraft specifically? Morrison says it's cursed." Donovan lit a cigarette. "Captain, every tail gun position is cursed. The difference is I'm not planning to sit back there and wait for it to happen." Whitmore studied the kid's eyes, saw something that reminded him of wounded animals, the ones that bite instead of running. "You're either crazy or brilliant. Probably both, sir. Good, you'll fit right in." Learning to break the rules. First mission, March 2nd, 1944. Target: industrial facilities at Schweinfurt. Donovan shot down one Bf-109, damaged two more. Solid performance for a rookie gunner. But what caught attention wasn't his kills. It was his method. Standard tail gunner protocol: hold fire until fighters commit to their attack run. Engage at optimal range. Conserve ammunition for multiple waves. Protect the aircraft through measured, defensive fire. Donovan ignored all of it. He fired at fighters still forming up 1,000 yards out. Burned ammunition on targets most gunners wouldn't even track yet. Forced German pilots to break formation before they'd even begun their approach. After landing, his crew chief, Sergeant Frank Murphy, did the count. "You burned through 1,400 rounds, Donovan. Standard doctrine says you should have used maybe 600. How many hits did we take?" "3. Minor damage." "And how many rounds did Morrison use on his last mission?" Murphy checked his log. 400. "How many hits?" 47. "Nearly lost the whole tail section." "Right. So Morrison conserved ammunition and almost died. I wasted ammunition and we flew home. Which strategy you like better?" Murphy had no answer. Second mission, March 4th. Another deep penetration raid into Germany. This time, Donovan experimented. When German fighters initiated their attack run from 6 o'clock high, he didn't track the lead aircraft. He targeted the wingman. The second fighter, the one flying predictable patterns to maintain formation, the one not expecting return fire yet. The wingman exploded in midair. The lead fighter, suddenly alone and exposed, broke off immediately. The entire attack wave disintegrated. Donovan's logic was ruthless. Kill the follower, and the leader has no one to lead. The pack dissolves into individuals. Individuals are easier to intimidate. That night in the barracks, while other gunners played cards or wrote letters home, Donovan studied German tactics. He interviewed bomber crews about enemy attack patterns. He learned how Luftwaffe fighters coordinated their approaches. Standard German method: 4 to 6 aircraft in echelon formation. Lead fighter draws defensive fire. Wingmen exploit the American gunner's focus on the primary threat. Classic pack hunting. Wolves isolating the weak. Standard American response: track the most obvious threat. Engage when certainty of hits is high. Conserve resources for the next wave. Donovan saw the fatal flaw. American doctrine was reactive. It handed initiative to the enemy. Every defensive tactic assumed the Germans controlled timing and positioning. What if you flipped that assumption? What if you attacked before they expected it? What if you made them react to you? The day everything changed. March 6, 1944. Pre-mission briefing. Target: aircraft manufacturing facilities at Augsburg. 800 B-17s. Intelligence estimated 2,500 German fighters would be scrambled. Expected losses high. Whitmore gathered his crew. "This one's going to be brutal. Stay sharp. Trust your training. Come home alive." Donovan raised his hand. "Captain, permission to try something different today." "What kind of different?" "Aggressive engagement. I want to hit fighters before they organize, force them to defend before they attack." Whitmore frowned. "That'll burn through ammunition fast. You'll be empty before the real fight starts." "Or I'll prevent the real fight from happening, sir." "Explain." "We've been playing defense for 2 years. 38% casualty rate for tail gunners. That's a failing strategy. Maybe it's time we stopped waiting to get shot at." Silence in the briefing room. Every gunner present understood the implications. Donovan wasn't just suggesting new tactics. He was challenging the entire defensive doctrine. Whitmore considered, "You get one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off that gun permanently." "Yes, sir." They lifted off at 0647 hours, climbed to altitude, crossed the English Channel, entered German airspace at weight 24. For 90 minutes, nothing. Just the grinding monotony of formation flying at 23,000 feet. Then, at 09:19, the call came. "Fighters, 6 o'clock high. Count 12 bandits." Donovan swiveled his twin .50 calibers, 12 BF-109s, maybe 2,000 yards out, forming up for a coordinated strike. Standard response: wait for commitment, engage the lead threat, defensive fire only. Donovan opened fire immediately. At 2,000 yards, maximum range, virtually no chance of hits. "Donovan, cease fire!" Whitmore's voice crackled. "You're wasting ammunition." "Negative, sir. Watch what happens." The German formation scattered, not because Donovan hit anything, because suddenly the passive target was shooting back before the attack even began. The psychology shifted instantly. These weren't victims waiting to be killed. This was a threat actively engaging. The fighters regrouped, but cautiously now. No aggressive dive-in attack. Hesitant probing instead. Donovan tracked the new lead fighter, waited until done 500 yards, fired again, short, controlled bursts, not aiming to hit, aiming to intimidate. The formation broke again. But one BF-109 held course, left wingman, experienced pilot, the kind who wouldn't be bullied by tracer rounds. Donovan let him close, 1,400 yards, 1,300, 1,200. Most gunners would open sustained fire at this range. Donovan held, 100 yards, 1,000. Now he fired. Not a burst, a barrage. 200 rounds in 3 seconds, overwhelming concentration of firepower. The BF-109 tried to brake but flew directly into the stream of bullets. The engine detonated. Wings separated from fuselage. The aircraft disintegrated. "Good kill, tail," the radio operator's voice. "Donovan just splashed one." But Donovan was already tracking the next target. The remaining 11 fighters had learned their lesson. The tail position was dangerous. They'd adapt tactics now. Split his attention. Attack from multiple vectors. He expected this. Planned for it. When the fighters divided into 2 groups, 6 attacking from 6 o'clock, 5 from 7, Donovan made a brutal calculation. He ignored the 7 o'clock threat completely. "Waist gunner, you've got 7 o'clock. I'm holding 6. The waist gunners engaged the secondary threat. Donovan concentrated everything on his sector. 6 fighters diving toward Hell's Fury. He picked the leader, fired, hit. The fighter exploded. The remaining 5 broke formation momentarily. Donovan immediately shifted to the new leader, fired. Another explosion. In 40 seconds, 3 BF-109s fell from the sky. The remaining 9 fighters broke off completely, not repositioning for another pass. Full retreat. A single tailgun position had just routed 9 enemy fighters. The real test. They weren't done. 15 minutes later, 18 German fighters appeared. A full staffel. They'd seen what happened to the first group. They were prepared. They attacked from every angle simultaneously. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Overwhelming force from every stern quarter. Standard response. Divide your attention. Try to cover all vectors. Survive through luck. Donovan chose violence. He ignored the 4 and 5 o'clock attackers. Let other gunners handle them. He focused everything on the 6 o'clock direct stern attack. 6 BF-109s in a diving run straight at Hell's Fury's tail. Donovan didn't flinch. He locked his guns on the lead fighter and opened fire at 200 yards. Closing speed, 400 knots. He had 7 seconds before the German reached firing position. He used all 7. Walking tracers directly into the lead Bf-109's flight path. The fighter couldn't evade without breaking formation. The pilot held course. Fatal mistake. At 800 yards, Donovan's rounds found metal. Canopy shattered. The aircraft rolled inverted and fell. 5 remaining. 400 yards between them and Hell's Fury. 3 seconds to impact. Donovan shifted to the next fighter. No time to track properly. Pure instinct shooting. He fired where the target would be in 2 seconds. Not where it was. Where physics demanded it had to be. The second Bf-109 flew directly into the bullet stream. Engine exploded. Orange fireball. Debris scattered. The 3 remaining fighters broke immediately. Not repositioning. Fleeing. Jesus Christ! Whitmore breathed over the intercom. Donovan just splashed 2 in 3 seconds. But Donovan wasn't celebrating. He was reloading his last ammunition belt. 400 rounds remaining. And they still had to reach the target, drop bombs, and fly home through the same fighter-infested sky. 48-1. The German fighters didn't attack again. They shadowed the formation, stayed just outside gun range, waited. Whitmore recognized the pattern. They're calling reinforcements. We're about to get hit hard. 10 minutes later, radar picked up new contacts. 36 fighters. A full group. Combined with the 12 already shadowing them, Hell's Fury faced 48 enemy fighters, and Hell's Fury had drifted from formation during the earlier engagements. The nearest friendly bomber was 3 miles away. No P-51 escorts in range. They were alone. Donovan checked his ammunition. 380 rounds against 48 fighters. The math didn't work, unless he changed the equation. "Captain," Donovan called. "Permission to try something." "What?" "Attack them." Silence. Then Whitmore's carefully controlled voice. "Explain. They're forming up for a coordinated assault. Give them 2 minutes and they'll hit us from every angle simultaneously. We can't defend against that. But we can disrupt it. If I engage while they're still organizing, I can force them to scatter before they're coordinated. You'll be out of ammunition in 30 seconds. Then I better make them count, sir. Defensive tactics don't work when you're outnumbered 20-1. Our only chance is aggressive action while they're vulnerable." 3 seconds of silence. Then Whitmore made his decision. "Do it. If you get us killed, I'm haunting you personally." Donovan didn't respond. The German formation was 2,000 yards out, still organizing. He opened fire. Not controlled bursts. Maximum sustained barrage. He poured 200 rounds into the formation center in 8 seconds, not targeting specific aircraft, targeting the space where coordination happened, where formation discipline lived. The effect was catastrophic. Tracers crossed through the formation's core. 1 Bf-109 caught fire. 2 others collided trying to evade. 48 fighters scattered in every direction. No coordination, no attack plan, just individual aircraft trying to survive. 1 tail gunner with a suicidal attack had just broken up the largest fighter assault any of them had witnessed. But Donovan knew the truth. He'd bought time. Maybe 2 minutes. The Germans would regroup, angry now. The next attack would be vicious, and he had 180 rounds left. Empty guns. Full intimidation. The Germans regrouped in 90 seconds. This time they didn't bother with coordination. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove from 6 o'clock simultaneously. No formation, no strategy, just rage and volume. Donovan picked targets methodically, not the closest, not the most aggressive, the middle of the swarm, the psychological center where the pack's courage originated. 30-round bursts into 3 consecutive aircraft. All 3 took hits. 1 exploded, 2 broke off trailing smoke, 9 remaining. 400 yards now. Cannon fire lit up the sky. 20-millimeter rounds streaked past Hell's Fury's tail. Some connected. Metal screamed. The aircraft shuddered. Donovan kept firing. Target, burst, target, burst. Mechanical precision. No fear. Another BF-109 fell, then another, 5 remaining. 200 yards. Donovan could see the pilots' faces now. Young men, professionals. He shot them anyway. 2 more fighters exploded. 3 left. 100 yards. Point-blank range. The survivors broke off. Too close now. Collision risk exceeded kill reward. Donovan tracked one last fighter, squeezed the trigger. Nothing. The guns were dry. "I'm out," he called. "Dry on all guns." "Copy," Whitmore responded. "Damage report." The crew checked in. Ball turret took minor damage. Rudder showed stress fractures. Everyone alive. All systems functional. But the tail guns were empty. The German fighters knew it. They regrouped one final time. 27 aircraft remaining from the original 48. They'd lost 21 fighters to a single bomber, to a single gun position. But now the tail was neutralized. They attacked from directly astern, 6 o'clock low. The one vector Donovan's empty guns couldn't cover. They came in tight formation, slow, methodical. This was execution. Donovan watched them approach. 400 yards, 300, 200. He had no ammunition, no way to defend. But he had one weapon remaining: psychology. He traversed his guns to track the lead fighter, followed it precisely, maintained perfect targeting discipline, as if his weapons were loaded, as if he could fire at any moment. The lead German pilot saw the twin .50 calibers tracking him, saw the barrels aligned perfectly with his cockpit. He broke formation, immediate hard right turn, pure instinct overriding knowledge. The rest of the formation followed. They broke attack pattern, not because Donovan could shoot them, because they believed he could. Empty guns became as effective as loaded ones through reputation alone. "They're breaking off," the ball turret gunner called. "They're actually breaking off." And they were. The German formation scattered, didn't regroup. They'd lost 21 aircraft to this single bomber. The cost was too high. They disengaged, left Hell's Fury alone in hostile airspace with empty guns. Word spread through German radio communications. One B-17 with an insane tail gunner had destroyed 21 fighters. The warning was clear: avoid that aircraft. Hell's Fury continued to Augsburg, dropped bombs, destroyed the factory, flew home through 3 more fighter contacts. None engaged them. They landed at Framlingham at 16:47 hours, 9 hours after takeoff. Donovan climbed out of his tail position. Hands steady. No shakes. No visible stress. The ground crew counted damage: 47 bullet holes, 13 cannon strikes, destroyed hydraulic line, cracked rudder. But it flew. It survived. Murphy examined the tailgun position, checked the ammunition boxes, all empty, every round expended. He found Donovan on the tarmac, smoking. "You used everything. 2,000 rounds. Every bullet we loaded." "Had to. Didn't have enough to waste any." "How many did he get?" Whitmore asked. Murphy consulted his notes. 12 confirmed kills, 4 probables, 3 damaged. Whitmore stared at Donovan. "You destroyed 12 fighters in one mission." 19 if you count probables and damaged, Murphy added, in 4 minutes of sustained combat. The doctrine. By sunset, every tail gunner at Framlingham wanted to know Donovan's tactics. By morning, pilots from other bomber groups were requesting briefings. By evening, 8th Air Force Headquarters sent representatives. Major General Frederick Anderson arrived personally. He found Donovan in the enlisted men's barracks, cleaning his guns. "At ease, Sergeant. I'm here to understand what you did." Donovan explained his philosophy: aggressive fire, psychological intimidation, attacking during formation phase, exploiting vulnerability before coordination solidified. Anderson listened without interruption. When Donovan finished, the general asked one question: "Can you teach this?" "Not to everyone, sir. You need gunners who think like hunters, who see opportunity instead of threat, who'd rather attack than defend." "Find them," Anderson ordered. "I'm authorizing a special training program. You'll develop the curriculum, select candidates, transform tail gunner tactics across the entire 8th Air Force. Effective immediately, you're reassigned to training command." Donovan hesitated. "Sir, I prefer to stay with my crew." "Your crew doesn't need you anymore," Anderson said bluntly. "They're alive because of what you did. Other crews are dying because their gunners don't know what you know. Which matters more, 9 men or 9,000? The answer was obvious: 5 principles. Over the next month, Donovan developed what became known as the Donovan Doctrine. First principle: seize initiative. Don't wait for fighters to attack. Engage during formation phase. Force them to respond to your actions instead of executing their plan. Second principle: psychological warfare. Your first burst doesn't need to destroy the target. It needs to intimidate the formation. Make them cautious. Hesitant, second-guessing. Third principle: focus fire. When outnumbered, don't divide attention. Concentrate all firepower in the most dangerous sector. Trust other positions to handle peripheral threats. Fourth principle: ammunition economy through aggression. 30 rounds forcing 12 fighters to scatter is more efficient than 300 rounds engaging scattered targets. Prevention costs less than reaction. Fifth principle: accept risk. Tail gunner casualty rates were high under defensive doctrine. Aggressive tactics increased exposure but decreased mission losses. Individual risk versus collective survival. The mission matters more than the man. The doctrine faced immediate resistance. Traditional gunners called it reckless. Command officers worried about ammunition waste. Conservative instructors labeled it suicide. But the statistics didn't lie. March 1944, before Donovan's tactics spread, tail gunner casualty rate averaged 38%. June 1944, after widespread adoption, casualty rate dropped to 23%. Same missions, same enemy, different tactics, 15% reduction in casualties. But casualty reduction wasn't the only metric. March 1944. German fighters completed 52% of their planned attack runs against bomber formations. June 1944, completion rate dropped to 27%. Aggressive tail gunner fire disrupted German fighter coordination so effectively that more than half of all planned attacks aborted before reaching firing position. The psychological impact extended beyond individual missions. German fighter pilots began avoiding bombers known to employ aggressive gunners. Radio intercepts captured German squadron leaders warning pilots away from specific American formations. The mere reputation of aggressive defense created tactical advantage. 300 legends between March and August 1944 Donovan trained 300 tail gunners. Each received 2 weeks of intensive instruction, live fire exercises, simulated fighter attacks, psychological conditioning. The program emphasized mental preparation as much as technical skill. Donovan's favorite saying became doctrine. Fear happens when you react. Confidence happens when you act first. But not every candidate succeeded. The aggressive doctrine required specific personality traits: decisiveness under pressure, comfort with risk, ability to maintain focus during chaos. Roughly 30% washed out, couldn't overcome defensive instincts, couldn't embrace the necessary aggression, couldn't accept the risk calculus. Those who succeeded became legends. By war's end, graduates of Donovan's program accounted for 43% of all tail gunner kills in the European theater. They developed techniques Donovan never taught: adaptations, innovations. The doctrine evolved beyond its creator. One graduate, Sergeant Thomas Bailey, destroyed 16 fighters in his first 4 missions. Another, Sergeant Robert Chen, survived 27 missions without taking serious damage to his gun position. The aggressive doctrine didn't just increase kills. It increased survival rates through deterrence. German pilots learned to recognize aggressive gunners. The telltale signs: early opening fire at extreme range, sustained barrage instead of conserved bursts, tracers walking through formation centers. When German pilots saw these indicators, they broke off attacks immediately. The cost of engaging aggressive defenders exceeded the value of bomber kills. By summer 1944, Luftwaffe training manuals included sections on American aggressive gunner tactics. The recommended counter-approach was simple: avoid. Find easier targets. Don't engage bombers with active aggressive defense. The psychological battle had reversed. Now, German fighters feared American gunners. The numbers: Donovan's personal combat career ended with that March 6th mission. He never flew another combat sortie, spent the rest of the war training others. But his influence extended far beyond 12 confirmed kills. Conservative estimates credit the Donovan doctrine with saving 300 American bombers, 3,000 aircrew members. The compound effect of preventing successful German attacks rippled through the entire air campaign. 8th Air Force conducted detailed analysis in 1945. They compared bomber losses before and after aggressive gunner doctrine implementation. March through May 1944, average losses of 14 bombers per 1,000 sorties. June through August 1944, average losses of 8 bombers per 1,000 sorties. Same targets, same German defenses. 43% reduction in losses. The difference: gunners who shot first. German records captured after the war revealed the enemy perspective. Luftwaffe after-action reports from summer 1944 consistently mentioned American gunner aggression. One report from June 1944: American tail gunners have adopted new tactics. They engage formations during approach phase with sustained fire. Effect is psychological disruption of attack coordination. Recommendation: avoid direct stern approaches. Utilize high-angle diving attacks from 11 or 1 o'clock positions. The recommendation proved difficult to implement. High-angle diving attacks required different training, different coordination, different risk assessment. Many German pilots couldn't adapt. Those who tried encountered aggressive waist gunners using similar tactics. The Donovan doctrine had spread to every defensive position on American bombers. By August 1944, German fighter effectiveness against American bombers had declined by 63% compared to January 1944 levels. Multiple factors contributed. better fighter escorts, improved bomber formation tactics, strategic targeting of German oil production. But internal Luftwaffe analysis attributed 28% of the decline specifically to American aggressive gunner tactics. Going home. After the war, Donovan returned to Boston, worked construction, never talked about the war. When journalists tracked him down in the 1960s, he declined interviews. I did what needed doing. So did 300 other gunners. They're the real story. One of those gunners, Bailey, disagreed. In a 1972 interview, he explained Donovan's impact. Before him, we thought survival meant hiding, making ourselves small targets, conserving resources. Mike taught us survival means making the enemy scared to attack you. Sounds simple, changes everything. Donovan died in 1998 at age 76. The Boston Globe obituary mentioned his Distinguished Service Cross, his 16 years working construction. His wife, Margaret, and 3 children. One paragraph mentioned his war service. Tail gunner, 8th Air Force, developed new tactics. That paragraph didn't mention 12 kills in 4 minutes. Didn't mention 300 gunners trained. Didn't mention 3,000 lives saved. Didn't mention how one South Boston street fighter changed aerial combat doctrine for every nation that studied his methods. His funeral drew 17 people, family mostly, 2 war buddies, no military honor guard, no 21-gun salute, just a quiet service at St. Augustine Cemetery. The priest who performed the service didn't know about March 6, 1944, didn't know about the Donovan Doctrine, didn't know he was burying a man who'd altered aerial warfare, but the other tail gunners knew. Every veteran of aggressive gunner training knew. They gathered informally the night before at a bar in South Boston, raised glasses, told stories, remembered the man who taught them to shoot first. Bailey, now 74, gave the toast. Mike Donovan never thought he was special, just a guy doing his job. But his job saved 3,000 of us. Every bomber that made it home because German fighters broke off their attack. Every gunner who survived his tour because he learned to be aggressive instead of defensive. Every mission that succeeded because the enemy was too scared to engage. That's Mike's legacy. Not 12 kills, 12,000 lives. The legacy. The Donovan Doctrine remains standard in modern aerial combat training. Fighter pilots learn aggressive engagement principles. Gunners on transport aircraft study psychological intimidation tactics. Even modern missile defense systems incorporate the concept of early engagement to disrupt enemy coordination. March 6, 1944 lasted 4 minutes. 1 tail gunner, 12 enemy fighters. The moment defense became offense. When reaction became action. When one South Boston street fighter proved that survival doesn't come from hiding. It comes from making your enemy too scared to fight. Michael Donovan fired 2,000 rounds, destroyed 12 aircraft, saved 3,000 lives, changed warfare forever. Not because he was special, because he refused to wait for death to find him. He went hunting first.